Hey family, warmest of welcomes. Welcome back to Underdogs Rise, the podcast where we rise together, hand in hand and heart by heart. Today we're going to be talking about something that most people don't want to hear, but everyone needs to understand, and this includes myself. As the title of this podcast is, Dreams Take Time. I never would have thought in a million years that I'd be here today, talking down a microphone, wanting to share my life, things that I've learned, and the process that I'm going through and have gone through to get to my dream, to reach the life that I thought for so long was out of my grasp. But as you may all be aware of, we're living in a world that moves sometimes too fast. We have instant food, instant entertainment, and instant dopamine hits. And like you, I doom scroll often, trying to find inspiration on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, any of the platforms. You can watch a full series in a day now. Order anything that you want within minutes. Even conversation seems to be rushed. And slowly, without even realising it, we start expecting our lives to work the same way. That everything can happen in an instant. We want the fast results, the fast change, the fast transformation. But real life doesn't work like that. It takes time. And here's a truth that most people avoid, and I've avoided it myself. Anything meaningful takes time. Growth takes time. Healing takes time. Building something you're proud of, it takes time. And if you try and rush it, you don't speed it up. You break the process. So what if, underdogs, instead of fighting that you made a different decision? What if you just slowed down? Not in a lazy way, but in an intentional way. What if you decided this moment matters? Not next week, not when everything is perfect, and not when you've made it. Right now. Here. Because here's the shift. When you make this moment matter, your life starts to matter. I have been one of these people for decades of my life, waiting for the right time for me to feel amazing to move forward, waiting for the motivation, for the clarity, and just waiting to feel ready. But the people who rise, they move anyway. Even if it's messy, even if it's slow, and even if it feels like nothing is changing. Let me say something clearly, and this is a reminder for me too. progress isn't always visible. Sometimes you're building discipline. Sometimes you're strengthening your mindset. And sometimes you're just learning. You're learning how not to quit. And that counts. That really counts. We're conditioned to only celebrate the big wins, the promotions, the transformation, the finish line. But that's all backwards. Because if you think back, the biggest of wins that we've ever had in our lives were all built on small ones that were leading up to that. So getting out of bed when you didn't want to, that's a win. Showing up when your mind said not today, that's a win. Or just taking one step forward when all you wanted to do was just stay still. That's a win. And here's where most people slipped, and I've slipped. I've made this error, this mistake, this failure myself countless times, and I will continue to do that. It's when you stop celebrating those smallest of wins, eventually you stop seeing your own progress. This is a reminder for me too. And you lose your momentum slowly over time. You don't need a massive breakthrough. You need consistency. You need to learn how to say, I showed up today. And that matters. Because some days you're not going to want to sprint. Some days you're not even going to walk. Not even going to want to do that. Some days you crawl. And listen carefully. Crawling still counts. You're still moving. You're still choosing not to quit. And you're still in the fight. And that's what separates people. Not talent, not luck. The decision just to keep going, to keep moving, to keep that momentum going, no matter what it looks like. But let's go deeper. Because this part matters just as much. And that's honesty. You cannot build a life on your new real life on false narratives. You cannot grow if you keep on lying to yourself. And I don't mean harsh, self-destructive talk. I mean real grounded honesty. Asking yourself, where am I actually at right now? What am I avoiding? And what do I need to take responsibility for? That level of honesty. It's uncomfortable. It can be painful. But it's also so powerful. Because once you're honest, you're truly honest with yourself, you can actually move forward. A lot of people stay stuck, but not just because they're incapable. It may be because they're unwilling just to face the truth. So today, underdogs, I want you to do something simple. Not easy, but simple. Slow down just for a moment and ask yourself, what actually matters to me right now? Not the noise, not the pressure, and definitely not the comparison. Just you, your life, and your next step. Because family, my fellow underdogs, you don't need the full plan. You just need the next step. One step, then another. And over time, those small steps, they become something powerful and they start to compound. Not overnight, not instantly, but steadily. And that is still progress, and that is still momentum. That is how our real lives are built, how our real confidence is built, and how underdogs rise. Not in one moment, but in thousands of quiet ones. Where they choose just to keep going. So if this is a season for you where it feels slow, great, stay with it. If it feels hard, even better, lean into it. If it feels like no one is seeing your progress, that's okay. You see it. That's enough. And if you don't see it, reach out to a friend. Reach out to someone who sees you. Because one day, the same progress that feels invisible right now will become undeniable. But that is only if you don't quit. Only if you keep showing up, and only if you trust that dreams take time. And listen, you're not doing this alone. You're not doing this alone. That's what this is all about. Underdogs rise, and we rise together.